welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything, where we sit down with our nonprofit of the month and learn about how they make the greater Helena area an amazing place to live, work, play, etc. I'm Emily Frazier. I'm the executive director of the Helena Area Community Foundation, and our April 2024 nonprofit of the month is Lifehouses. And we've got Christine with us. So, Christine, introduce yourself.
I am Christine Roberts, and I'm the executive director for Lifehouses.
And how long have you been with them?
Since about at the end of 2019, so right before COVID.
Oh, that's when I started here. Fun times.
Fun times, yeah.
Start a new job and then everything changes.
Yes.
So tell us what your organization does in 10 words or less.
Oh, yeah. I did this last night to prep, and I think I got it. Actually, It's what I normally say. So
awesome.
I was very excited. Provide safe housing and life skill development for young adults.
That's awesome. So when it comes to housing, we've had a lot of conversations about housing, and a lot of times from nonprofits where we would expect that, but sometimes where we wouldn't. And so tell us a little bit about how you guys fit into the housing and preventing homelessness or things like that, because you guys have a pretty interesting role, I think.
Yeah, so we focus on young adults, which makes us a little different from some of the organizations. So our target group that we really serve is 17 to 23 when they come into the houses. And we're taking people who from all sorts of situations in life. Right. So they could be in or aging out of foster care. They could be coming out of the criminal justice system. They could be homeless, living in their car, couch surfing, living on the streets. They could actually be coming from what we would typically say is a pretty strong family situation, but they're out on their own for the first time. And some have just made what we would deem bad decisions and want to turn their life around.
Right.
And so we kind of do the whole gamut. And as far as housing, we have two houses. We have a house for young men, which can house 7, and a house for young women that can house 4 at a time. And generally, we want them to be with us for about at least 6 months.
Okay.
And usually the upper limit is around 2 years.
Okay.
That they can be with us.
And I know that, so some of those groups are ones that are kind of interesting, I think, anyway. I have a past of working with foster care youth a little bit, and for them, like, sometimes aging out is just life-shattering.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, you're not an adult when you turn 18. It's not like some magic thing that happens when you turn 18. For those kids, life can become even more difficult.
Right.
If you didn't think it was difficult before,
right.
It becomes even more difficult. So yeah, we do have a mix, and we are getting more of the foster care kids and actually getting them a little younger, like at 17, before they actually age out.
Yeah.
Which is somewhat nice, because then it's not as disruptive when they turn
not so
18.
drying. Like it was a birthday and now I don't have any place to be.
Yes, and now you don't have any place to go. Yeah. So it is nice that we're there for them.
And so for programs that are a little more long-term like yours, there aren't as many. I mean, I think a lot of times we're looking for, when we talk about our unhoused population, people are thinking of overnight shelters or things like that. And that's not what Lifehouses has got going on at all.
No. And we do get calls for that, but that is not the way our program is set up. So then we refer them out to other services in the community that we know of that are more situated for that. So yeah, our goal is really for long-term sustainability and independence for the young adults. So, but we do know we are a housing first kind of an organization. So we understand that without safe housing and reliable housing and food, no one can really has the capacity to take on life skill development and work on finding a job and like all those kind of life skills that you need. So we have tried in the past to offer our coaching and mentoring to young adults who we couldn't house, and it really didn't work out because that housing first is really, really important.
Yeah. And we've talked about that, the housing first idea, with a few other groups as well, where, if you've got some sort of mental health issue or substance abuse issue, it's hard to fix when you don't have a place to live.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
when you're trying
something
to know where
seems
you're
to be
going
known
to
to me, but
your day-to-day survival is all that's really key. in that moment.
So knowing that we do have a couple of our Facebook questions too that I'll ask, but I know that with the housing situation in Helena has been a challenge for a lot of people, and I'm wondering what that's done for your program. Do you guys have a like giant wait list or?
We probably have more of a wait list if people didn't know we were full. So I think it's kind of like cyclical in the fact that if we say we have an opening, we get a lot of referrals.
Right.
And then once the message starts getting out that spot's been filled, then the referrals kind of go down. So it kind of ebbs and flows. I'm sure there's more out there than we even really know about, but we have had a huge influx in the last month or so of referrals, either from organizations or from young adults themselves reaching out to us. And the housing situation is difficult, I think, for us as an organization because we would love to have more houses. But it took us 2.5 years to find a girls' house that we could afford.
Right.
So that is difficult. So we're kind of limited that way. But also on the back end, we're like intermediate housing. Like we're not long-term housing. Like they do need to leave once they're able to live independently. But then what we've found is they have no place to go.
Right.
Because they can't afford to move out. Right. And so so it kind of ends up where we could have space, we can't because this person has no place to go.
Right. So if there's no affordable housing to exit them into, even though they might be more sustainable, might have learned some life skills, might be a bit ready.
Yeah.
More ready than they were when they came
ready to leave the nest.
but
they can't.
There are no other nests.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. Yeah. That's a challenge. And I know it's something that we're working on in a lot of realms in Helena.
Yeah.
And there is really a whole spectrum of nonprofits that are working to address housing in one way or another. So, and sounds like you guys already have some connections with those and refer in and out and share.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. The community here is wonderful.
So speaking of the community being wonderful, how can people be involved? Is there, what needs are there that people who might be watching this could fill or learn about?
There's lots of ways to be involved depending on your interests, your talents, your time that you have. We are currently looking for board members. So anyone that has this kind of a mission on your heart, reach out to us because we are looking for a couple of board members. We can always use more mentors and coaches. So people who want to work directly with young adults, either on a one-on-one for coaching or mentoring. We do have most of our mentoring is done in groups in the houses. Or if you have a talent or a skill or a personal experience or a life lesson that you've learned that you want to share and pass on those lived experiences with our young adults, we can always use people for that. Those are big volunteer kind of ongoing things that we have.
So what kind of, when you say life skills, what are some of the things, like what are some of the most popular things? What are people excited to have learned? Or?
Recently it's been financial management.
Okay.
We've done quite a bit on financial management. Valley Bank came in and did a class for our young women and young men. Budgeting, things like that is really big. Having a bank account, because some people haven't had that before. How to save. Work ethic, what's expected at a job. Interviewing skills, jobs, resumes, those kinds of things. But also simple things like cooking. Like they want to learn how to cook something.
Oh, okay.
Because some people haven't actually had an opportunity or the need to cook outside of a microwave.
Yeah.
Or buying fast food or things like that. Haven't had a kitchen. We've had people who've moved in who all they had was a microwave. So learning how to cook.
That's a thing it's never occurred to me that would be a thing. But depending on how you're living and where you're living, you might be limited to a microwave or a hot plate or, I mean, even I've heard some people who get by pretty well with a kettle.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy to me.
There's a lot that can be learned there for cooking.
I'm the queen of like KitchenAid gadgets. I got all the things. So
yeah. So things like that. So like kind of basic life skills, and that comes chores, like just, maintaining your space. Some people have never had a space they've had to maintain.
Right.
Much less lived with other people that they need to maintain it for. Interpersonal skills, because they do live with other people. So having to manage conflict and how to say yes, how to say no. learning to value other people's opinions and thoughts
Okay.
outside your own. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's pretty helpful. I mean, even
yeah,
I was kind of like, well, I could probably teach somebody to cook something. I'm
yeah,
not like a chef or anything, but I get by.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but that's great to know. And so, and then do they end up doing projects like at the house? Do they like leave their own footprints on the house at all, or not really?
Um, I'm sure there are. Our men's house we own, so there's more that can be done there. Our women's house we've rented, so less that you can do
Like, do you
there.
guys ever have a garden, or do you?
The guys have a bonfire, so they kind of do that. They
Oh, that's
also,
fun.
we have a back deck, and so when it comes to, that needs maintenance every once in a while. So everyone learns some life skills on
Yeah,
how to take care of that, and painting and tree management, and yard management, and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. I
So
think those are things that,
yeah,
yeah. If you haven't, I mean, it seems so strange to. I can understand that there will be people who haven't had a yard or haven't had much of a yard, but when you just kind of think back, like you might not have. Some of these kids might have only had like a bed or a mattress, and that
yeah,
was the really only space that was theirs.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
having more of that's probably pretty life shattering,
Yeah.
or not life shattering, but
Not life shattering, but eye
life
opening.
changing. Life
Yeah.
changing. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can use words some days. Um, so tell me a little bit about you guys have. Do you have anything coming up that's interesting, or any community events or ways people could get to know
Yeah.
you more? Kind of
Yeah.
teeing you up here a
I
little
know.
bit.
Well, you're teeing me up to tee you up a little bit too. So, well, of course, we are part of the Greater Helena Gives. That's the first
Oh
thing
yes,
coming
of
up,
course.
May 1st. So that's really good to be part of that. And then a couple of weeks after that, we have our Cowboy Ball, which is
Right.
our major, largest fundraiser that we do every year out at the fairgrounds. That's on May 17th. So, really excited for that. We're actually celebrating our 15th year of Life
Really.
Houses in
Golly
Helena.
Moses, that went
Uh-huh.
fast.
I know. So so we're going to be doing a lot of celebrating for that, but then also gearing up to what we want to do in the future,
Yeah.
and kind of sharing some ideas and news about that. So we're really
Okay. So
excited
if you
about
come to
that.
the Cowboy Ball, you
Yeah.
might get a preview of what's to come.
Yeah.
Great. And then where can people get tickets?
They can get tickets from, the link is on our website, so
Okay.
life-houses.org.
Life-houses.org.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as Christine said, she is Life Houses is one of the 113 now nonprofits that are signed up for Greater Helena
So
Gives.
great.
So you could give to one or all of those on May 1st, starting at 8 p.m., all the way through to May 2nd at 8 p.m. Though we do leave the giving window open a little longer through the
Which
weekend.
is
But
nice.
the main event is that
Yeah.
one 24-hour period. So
Yeah.
yeah, so lots of good things coming up for nonprofits in general, but
Yeah.
for Life Houses in particular.
Excited about our
So
Cowboy Ball. Yeah.
yeah, and how many years have you guys been doing the Cowboy Ball?
The Cowboy Ball itself, I think this will be number 4 because we
Mm-hmm.
had to have a hiatus for COVID.
Right.
I think they've done a similar event before that, but it kind of changed every year. So the standard Cowboy Ball, I think we're on number 4.
And what happens at the Cowboy Ball?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. So it's out at the fairgrounds. We have live and silent auctions that go on. We have raffles, and we have dinner, and we will be closing out the night this year with 10 Years Gone.
Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, so if it's a Cowboy
There,
Ball, there's
yeah,
gotta
we've
be
got to have some dancing.
you got to have some time to have some dancing, or
Yes.
what did they wear their cowboy boots for?
Yes,
Yeah, of course.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, Christine, thanks for coming, and thanks for being our April Nonprofit of the Month.
Yeah,
and for those of you who are watching, join us again in May for our next Nonprofit of the Month. But in between then and now, please participate in Greater Helena Gives, because that's kind of our biggest thing of the year, and we're really excited to be hosting it for the 10th year. Now we're on a 10th anniversary, so and we've already broken records as far as number of nonprofits that have signed up. Our previous record was 110, and now we're at 113. And so let's just try to break all the other records too, and have more donors and more donations, and make it a really great day for Helena nonprofits. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next month.